Hope you are doing well. So, moving to the means, next question, question number five. So, on the basis of this particular question, we move towards another type of question types, which is known as analogical reasoning questions. Well, what is this analogical reasoning based questions is all about? If you talk about analogy, the meaning of analogy is called as a depicting the relationship between two of the ideas. Let's see that what this logical reasoning question example analogical reasoning question types tells here. This is the question 5. We have already discussed 1 to 4 um, on the basis of the text which is presented. So the text is what? The text is all about suicide. Um, you can say that um, society influence to uh, different places. Here you would find out the place is called as a Greenland, and the another one is called as a South Korea. So on the basis of that, we have a kind of information here. Let me point out. mm, this is the text um, from which we have taken means many of the questions, many of the critical reasoning question types. My suggestion to all the student is what means before you jump to the means solving these questions or looking watching these videos. My suggestion would be what you try to do these questions answer on yourself on the basis of reading the text, right? So because once you read the text and solve the questions answer, then it becomes a very helpful. And also mm, if you have also some kind of means difficulties or some kind of means misunderstanding, some kind of a confusion, then that will be cleared through this video, right? So video is nothing but at the end part of it, right? The first one is called as a just go to the um, link which is provided below the video in YouTube, and try to download that PDF questions and try to solve on yourself. So obviously means this question uh, consists of 20 this text consists of 20 questions, right? So and each of the questions depicting different types of questions. So your priority is called as means observe these questions, right, or try to understand these questions and connect with the text, or means look at the choices, and through the elimination options or elimination process you may draw your answer. But the first priority is called as solve the handouts on yourself only, right? Do not means do not simply only watch the video and try to means know the question's answer or explanation of that answer, right? When you solve yourself, you will get the kind of a understanding better, right? Um, so let's go to the means this particular question number 5 and its answer. So the direction is very simple, and on this direction we also read this particular text. So this text is nothing but about committing suicide, uh, or means societal tendency people have, men and women, in a different countries. So here you would find out America, then after Greenland, then South Korea. So and how um, you also find out couple of natives, right? Like you can talk about um, Kalai people of Papua New Guinea and the Ute of St. Lawrence Island, how they do have a ritual societal behavior. So about this means the whole text is made. Uh, Obviously, you read the first part of the paragraph and last part of the paragraph to get the you know so the main idea of the topic, and also the author's opinion or conclusion at the end of the text. Okay, so for more details about the text, you can refer to the first video, so in which we have gone through all the details of this text. Okay, moving to the question's answer. So, or question, what does it say? If the shift in terminology from committed suicide to completed suicide is analogous to a shift in societal perception, what might be a similar shift in another context? Right. So, if the shift in terminology from committed suicide to completed suicide, so that called as a successful suicide, is relating to a shift in societal perception. So we need to find out the same kind of a relationship, right? Um, in societal perception, what might be a similar shift in another context? It's exactly like a parallel reasoning, and also it's a um, we need to find out the appropriate option which will present the same kind of analogy uh, between the statement given in the because the question statement given in the question and the choice. So we need to find out the relation or connection between these two. Now, moving to the first one is said the shift from addicting to individual, the shift from addict to individual with a subscription use disorder in the context of addiction, right? So the shift from addict to individual with a substance use disorder in the context of addiction. Okay. What is the second one? The second one is called as the shift from convict. So the shift from convict to lawbreaker in the context of criminal justice. The shift, uh, it's an option B, the shift from convict to lawbreaker in the context of a criminal justice. Okay. Next is called as what? That is called as the shift. The shift, the shift from patient to customer in the context of healthcare. Okay. Now, until unless you read all the options, you cannot jump to the answer. D. The shift from teacher to educator in the context of education. Now, if you observe that, what does it say? Teacher to educator, patient to customer, and convict to lawbreaker, right? So, and also it is stated in the first one that called as a addict, addict to individual with a substance use disorder in the context of addiction. Now, if you look into this particular question, so we can get that these four options, right, somehow means make a kind of analogy. But if you observe that on the basis of uh, logical pers- um, logical wage, so what we can find out means option A seems a kind of appropriate one. Why? Now, because it suggests the shift from, it suggests what? The shift from addict, using the term addict to individual with a substance use disorder. Addicted to, so if something is addicted, then how means it makes an individual disorder, isn't it? Because the question is what? The question is called as if the shift in terminology from committed suicide to completed suicide. So committed suicide means uh, tried, you tried, and completed suicide is called as you got succeed, right? Similar to that, addicted to individual means you are addicted to a particular thing, that may be any kind of a food or any kind of a drugs. So what happened? Now it becomes a kind of a habitual to an individual, which will do nothing but disordering the condition, disorder the condition of the person, and finally he became addicted, right? So it becomes, it's something called as a, from the initial stage to master stage, isn't it? So In that case, in the context of addition, this shift mirrors or presents the change of what? Change from committed suicide to completed suicide. In that, it reflects a kind of a changes in societal perception and language use. So now, if I look into the other choices also, that also we will go for it. But let's say that changing the terminology from addict to individual with a substance use disorder is a move towards person first language, right? So it means that something called as individual with a substance use disorder. So an individual who lost, why? Now because means he started something for the test, and later he became addicted to it. Just like what you tried to commit suicide and you completed suicide, right? So in that case, it recognizes that what you can say recognizes that addiction is a complex issue involving not just behaviors but also underlying medical and psychological factors. This shift is rooted in a desire to reduce stigma and promote a more compassionate and understanding approach to individuals, isn't it? Individuals are struggling with addiction by emphasizing the person rather rather than their condition. uh, you can say that it encourages society to view them as individual in need of support and treatment rather than morally fixed um, or weak, isn't it? But if you observe that the other options like B, C, and D do not represent similar shift in societal perception through language change. So option B is trying to say what? Option B, uh, it is trying to talk about that shifting from convict to lawbreaker. Shifting what? Now, convict to lawbreaker does not carry the same weight as the shift in the other options. It does not necessarily reflect a more, compassionate or understanding approach, but rather a change in a terminology. So only the kind of terms have been changed. Next stage called as a C, the shift from patient to customer in healthcare is primarily a shift in the way healthcare is delivered and paid for, right? Rather than a change in the perception. It can have implications for the patient, provide the relationship, but does not necessarily reflect a societal shift in understanding. Now, if I go for the option D, what option D said? The shift from teacher to educator. So the shift from teacher to educator is a change in terminology, but does not, uh, draw, signify, or importance a shift in societal performance or a more compassionate approach. It may have very small details difference in meaning, but does not carry the same weight as the person first language shift in option A. So hence we could find out that B, C, D are not the suitable option uh, for the question given in a question 5. Option A is the most appropriate answer to the question because of the explanation that have been pointed, isn't it? So that's all. Moving to the next question number 6. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.